Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. A Heart of Ice and Ash. Episode 11. Chapter 112. Winter POV. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs while thunder crashes down in the distance and the rain pours outside. It helps to muffle the sounds coming from the basement. My father is grinning, enjoying the sounds of my screams while Damian stands in the background. My eyes meet his, pleading for help, but he just looks away. Slap. My father's hand slaps me directly across the face as I dangle in the cell, my hands chained over my head, my legs dangling uselessly. It hurts, but no more than what he's already put me through already. I feel the sharp stinging pain of the knife as he trails it lightly across my back. Should I write something? My father sneers as I try to stifle my sobs and remain quiet. Besides, it's not me that he's asking, but Damian, who hovers in the background, like the coward he is. I think she's had enough, Damian says lightly. If she can't make it to school, then they'll know something is wrong. Winter's never missed a day in her life. For a brief second, a brief moment, I had thought he was trying to save me. I should have known better. Nah, she can take more, my father mutters. The tip of the blade pushes in harder as he drags it across my skin. My flesh burns and bubbles from the silver, a sharp cry emitting from my throat. Blood trickles down to the floor. Your turn, my father says quietly, and my head whips up to see Damian. He looks like a deer caught in the headlights. But my father shows no mercy. He hands the knife to Damian, who I bitterly realize, has already gloved up, like he was expecting this to happen. Damian eyes the knife, twisting it over and over in his hand, a dark look on his face. Do it already, my father barks out, and Damian slowly wanders over to me, the knife held firmly in his grasp, his eyes looking up at mine. My body tenses in preparation. He plunges the knife into my side, stabbing me, and leaves the knife in as my father crows with delight in the background. I scream, hysterically trying to dislodge the knife with no luck, my legs kicking and my body bucking wildly. There are tears trailing down my cheeks. It's with relief that I feel Damian pull the knife out, but just as quickly he plunges it into my abdomen, blood pooling around the wound. This time when he yanks the knife out, I feel woozy and dizzy. My body's been pushed past my limits. I no longer care if I live or die, I just want the pain to stop. The torture. The torment. I'm lowered to the floor and the chains are torn off. My father hums under his breath. Make sure she gets food and water, he tells Damian. Can't have her dying on us now, can we? I stare at my brother hazily, and for a moment, I swear I see regret on his face. But it's gone just as quickly, as though it had never been there in the first place. Another flashback. Another piece of the so-called puzzle slotting neatly into place. I try not to rock back and forth on the bed, even as tears come to my eyes. How anyone could do that to their own daughter and sister defies all belief. Was I not good enough? Other than apparently killing my mother, was I such a terrible person that I deserved to be punished? Why else would Damian have taken such joy in it? You're not a terrible person, Winter. Sometimes it's hard to tell, Sabriel. Why don't you just ask him? See Damian face to face? He owes you an explanation. You're right. He does. He can start explaining himself. You go girl, sock him one if you have to. Get those answers you've been asking for. Right. I'm going. My hands clench into fists. Damian does owe me an explanation for everything. Kai is currently in his study, but I know that Damian and Langdon have been walking around the house lately and staying close by. I yank the door to the bedroom open and stomp down the stairs, now in a full-blown foul temper. No matter how much I eat and drink lately, nothing seems to satisfy the hunger and thirst I seem to have. This just makes me angrier. I check the house first. No sign of Damian. I even check the grounds outside quickly, but don't venture too far. For some reason I can't seem to bring myself to go too far from the bedroom. The bedroom is safe, secure. It feels like a haven to me. I sigh. Something tells me that the person I want has to be in the study or Langdon's house. I'm betting on the study. Damian is literally clinging onto Langdon lately and doesn't like to be too far from him. Just like I don't like to be too far from Kai at the moment. I walk down the corridor and reach the study door. I sniff and wrinkle my nose. I can smell them all in there, but they smell weird to me. Slightly unpleasant, which is odd, because Kai's scent should smell delicious to me at least. I must be getting sick or something. I shrug. I'll deal with it later. I tense and then smack the door to the study open. As I suspected, Kai, Langdon and Damian are all in there, discussing God knows what. Kai goes to get out of his seat. Winter now's not really the time he begins, but I ignore him. I focus all my glaring on Damian, who's cringing in his chair. Obviously he can see just how much of a temper I'm in. This is between me and Damian, I say calmly, both of you can get out. Kai opens his mouth to protest, but then Langdon shoots him a look and they both excuse themselves. I fold my arms across my chest. Damian stays silent. Finally, I can't take it any longer. How could you? I burst out. You tortured me with father and you didn't do anything to save me. I almost scream in my rage. You don't understand, Damian mumbles, and I turn to him, my eyes flashing and my lip curled up in a sneer. You're right, I don't understand. I don't understand how a brother can take part in torturing his sister. How you just kept quiet. How you didn't try to stop him, not even once, and how you even participated with him on occasion. Now he looks pale. I didn't have a choice, he pleads. You think he wouldn't have done the same to me if I'd refused? I think Damian's full of crap. Dad never laid a finger on you, I scoff. You were his precious son. It was his daughter he hated. You weren't responsible for Mother's death, I was. Damian stands up, sending the chair he's sitting on to the ground with a large crash. You have no clue how hard it was to stare into your eyes and still torture you while you cried. No, because I was the one being tortured. Maybe you should have seen how much that hurt from my side, I say sarcastically. He swallows nervously. Look, I was terrified of father, he admits, enough that I would have done everything he said, if it meant that he didn't hurt me instead. You were a coward, I spat out. Yes, I was a coward, he yells out, spreading his arms wide, and I regret what I did to you, every day. I have nightmares about what I've done. I know that no matter how hard I try, I'll never be able to make it up to you. He's right about that. My rage feels like it's spiraling out of control. My breathing is heavy, My hands won't stop clenching and unclenching as I stand there and I'm gritting my teeth. I so badly want to punch the lights out of him, but even now, I can't bring myself to hurt him. My eyes fall on the desk instead, and before I can stop myself, I pick it up, which astounds me. I didn't know I was that strong, and throw it against the wall, shattering the desk into splinters while Damian stands there in shock. I feel mildly impressed with myself. I'm strong. How did you do that? Breathes Damian in disbelief, staring at the ruins of the desk on the floor. I used my anger, I snap at him, trying to breathe and still feeling the urge to kill him. Look, Winter, I don't know what it is you want from me, Damian says quietly, wringing his hands and standing on the spot, putting his weight on one leg, then the other. I am truly sorry for everything I did to you in the past. I can never make it up to you, because you're right. I was your brother and I should have protected you instead of doing what I did. There are no excuses. I stuffed up, made a horrible mistake, and you suffered because of me. It's like he's taken the wind out of my sails. I'm starting to feel deflated. Instead of rage, I'm starting to feel overwhelming sadness. I have scars all over my body that won't go away, I choke out. I know, he whispers. The memories, they'll never fade, I continue. I know, he whispers. I have nightmares, Damian, I say, bursting into tears, and I'm afraid all the time. Why couldn't Jonathan have just killed him? I howl because waiting for him to come is killing me. I know, he whispers, because the same thing is happening to me. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I have nightmares and I feel like I'm constantly looking over my shoulder. I feel the same way you do, Winter. If it wasn't for Langdon I would have probably lost my mind right now. I sniffle. If it wasn't for Kai, I'm pretty sure I would have had a nervous breakdown by now. He's been my rock this entire time. Damian's eyes are shiny with unshed tears. I can't make up for the past, Winter, he says with determination etched on his handsome face, but I can try and have a future with you. That is if you are willing to let me. I don't blame you if you never want to forgive me, but you forgave me once before. I do love you as a sister and I want to show you that I can be the brother you deserve. I'm openly crying now. My emotions are a mess. He closes the gap between us and hugs me, pulling me in tight against him as I rest my eyes and place my head against his chest. His hands grip me tightly around the waist and I breathe in his scent, which still smells strange to me. We stand there, for several minutes, just clutching onto each other and saying nothing. I finally let go of all the anger that I've been holding onto with Damian. There's no point holding onto an old grudge. He can't change the future. He did travel this way for me. I know he loves me and a small part of me, despite everything, loves him back. There's a tentative knock on the door and then Kai and Langdon step in, looking at the destruction of the room with raised eyebrows. Sorry, I apologize sheepishly. I let my anger get the best of me. Kai looks at his desk. Who broke the desk? He asked, curious. I did, I say very quietly. He looks amazed. That desk is so heavy and solid that I struggle to lift it on my own and you managed to throw it across the room, he exclaimed. Strange, he mutters to himself. Is all forgiven? Asks Langdon and I give him a nod, stepping away from Damian. All is forgiven, I say and mean it, sailing out of the room. Kai and Langdon look at the desk as I leave and shoot each other a glance full of meaning. Damian POV. I'm too little to understand, but I can't stand to watch him hurting my little sister Winter. I pull on his arm. Stop daddy, I tell him, Winter cowering on the ground in an effort to stop his fists from hurting her face. She's crying and it makes me feel sad for her. He glares at me. Your sister is a murderer, he spits out. She's the reason that your mother is dead. She killed her and now she gets to pay. Don't get in my way or you'll be next, he threatens. He waves his arm and sends me flying, my back hitting the wall as I crumple to the ground in tears, before he starts hitting poor Winter again, who is crying and begging for him to stop. It's raining and there's thunder in the background. Winter is in the cell, the one that father purposely built just for her, crying and screaming as he whips her. I can smell the blood in the air. I'm older now, but no less afraid of him. I can barely stand the screams, the crying as he hurts her. She's lying there on the ground, completely helpless. She's much weaker than either of us, and the fact she has no wolf, makes her even more helpless. It also means she's slow to heal, something that the old man takes sadistic pleasure in. Please stop, she screams, as I watch, feeling numb. Whenever she is getting hurt, I either feel angry because I'm the one carrying it out, or numb when father does it. Her voice is pitiful and weak. She's begging for mercy, but it's pointless. She should know by now, it's been years, that father is incapable of mercy or forgiveness. He's incapable of anything but drinking his precious alcohol and inflicting pain. I can hear the thwacks of the whip as it meets her flesh. The sound of her cries in the small basement. The sizzling sound of the silver meeting and touching her bare flesh. The smell of burning flesh is sickening. I gag. My father is smiling. He's not holding back, using his strength to whip her, and I can't even remember the reason for it. It takes very little to make him angry these days. But I hate the cell. It's monstrous. But the thing I fear the most, and which makes me ashamed, is that he'll use it on me one day when I make him angry. That's how much of a coward I am. Please, Winter sobs, her hands scrabbling at the cold concrete floor, her body covered in gouges and scratches, her voice is hoarse from screaming. Please stop. Father hits her again and she falls silent. Her head turns to the side and she looks at me. I suck in a breath. Her eyes are dead, staring blankly. The light's gone completely from them. It's like she's given up completely, no longer even making a sound as the whip continues to strike her back. I feel sick. I'm a coward. But if I step in, who's to say father won't turn on me with the whip? He is a lot stronger than me. To my shame, I say nothing, turning away and walking upstairs as my father continues to torture the little sister I've long since stopped trying to protect. Now, I protect myself, no matter what it takes. The flashbacks are coming more regularly now. More intense, more in my face than ever before. I don't know what's caused it. It could be the argument I had with Winter, or it could be the fact that I know father is on his way. I place my head in my hands. Why can't I stop remembering? It's so painful, it sticks in my mind and won't let go. Every sound, the pain, the feelings, all there as I relieve what I don't want to remember. My breath comes out in short heavy puffs, my heart is thudding wildly in my chest. I glance over at Langdon, who is sleeping peacefully, his brown hair all tousled and across the pillow. Thank God I haven't disturbed him. He needs sleep. I know he's gotten very little since I've started with the flashbacks and he hasn't really left my side. He senses my fear, even though I've tried not to show it. How pathetic am I? Even fully grown with a wolf, I'm afraid of my father. I don't see what Langdon sees in me sometimes. He could do so much better, you know? I climb over him slowly, trying not to jostle him. If he wakes up, he'll insist on staying awake with me and I can't have that. This insomnia is slowly killing me. I can't sleep. My whole body trembles as I get out of bed, putting on a heavy sweatshirt of Langdon's for comfort and slowly creeping into the kitchen. Warm milk is meant to help you sleep, right? At this point I'll try anything. I open the refrigerator and grab the milk, pouring it into a saucepan. I grab a mug and place the saucepan on the stove, stirring constantly until the milk is warm. Then I sit at the dining table. I yawn. I'm so tired. You would think that if I were this tired, that sleep would come naturally to me. But no. No matter how exhausted I feel, my body refuses to sleep. It's infuriating. I sip my warm milk. At least that's making me calm down somewhat. The milk soothes my sore throat and I relax in the chair. I don't even mind that I'm sitting in semi-darkness, the only light that there is coming from the few windows that are in the kitchen. There's nothing to fear here, I chant to myself. It's just Langdon and myself in this house. I'm perfectly safe. But my body, even though it's slowly relaxing, refuses to stop trembling. Then I hear the sound of footsteps and my heart sinks. I was so sure I'd gotten out of the room without disturbing the poor. Sure enough, Langdon comes walking in, his hair all disheveled, looking all sleepy and adorable I might add. He yawns widely, putting a hand to his mouth. I feel guilty that he's awake. Do you know what time it is? He comments quietly. I shake my head. His eyes soften as they gaze at me. I'm guessing you couldn't sleep again, he said pointedly. I flush and look at the table. He doesn't look angry. In fact, he just looks calm, grabbing himself a hot drink of coffee and sitting opposite me. I thought I told you to wake me up when you can't sleep, he chides. I don't want you to have to sit with me when I have insomnia, I burst out. It's not fair to you and you need your sleep. Kai relies on you as his beta. He's silent for a moment. Kai might rely on me, but I care about you, Damian. We're mates. I am happy to stay up with my mate and comfort them when they can't sleep. I lower my head in my hands. They won't stop, Langdon. I can't make them stop. The memories, he guesses, the flashbacks? They only started when Winter stopped talking to you and you found out about your father escaping his cell. I think that your fear is producing them. He's probably right. You must think I'm pitiful, I say weakly, to be afraid of my own father like this. Not to mention disgusting. I treated Winter horribly just to save my own skin, I tell him, tears forming in the corner of my eyes. I could have stopped hurting her, could have stopped bullying her at school at least. Instead I chose to keep going. It's a wonder that Winter's forgiven me when I can't even forgive myself. Langdon runs a hand through his hair, making it stick up in different directions. Has it occurred to you that maybe you need to forgive yourself? He argues. You were a kid, Damian, making the best of a bad situation. You already confessed that you were afraid he would torture you as well. You were trying to survive, he argues, even if it meant hurting another person. We're not perfect, none of us are. All you can do is look forward and try to make amends with Winter now. She wants a relationship with you, you want one with her. The flashbacks are preventing you from looking forward. How can you even stand to be with someone like me? I ask him thickly. You're so handsome, you're perfect, you're confident, and you make me feel like I'm the only person in the world for you. Not once have you even judged me for what I did. He gives me a small smile. I don't judge you, because you're judging yourself enough for the both of us, he says calmly, and I am with you, not just because we're mates, but because you're funny, kind, sweet, and pretty good looking yourself, he adds as I blush. I'm pretty certain my cheeks are like a beet red right now. I glance down at my empty mug and push it away. I hadn't even been aware I was still drinking from the mug. Damian Langdon says quietly, your father is not going to lay a hand on you or Winter. You are both safe from him. Kai and I have patrol on the lookout for him. He's never going to harm either of you again. I wish you believed that, he said with a shake of his head and an exhale. I wish I could too, I say, feeling ashamed and angry, but until the bastard's caught, I'm always going to be looking over my shoulder expecting the worst, and so is Winter. I just want this all to end. It will, Langdon says firmly, you just have to hold on for a little longer. It was easy for him to say, but not so easy for me to actually do. Still, he's trying to help and it's sweet. My mate genuinely cares for me. I love the fact he cares so much, even when I feel guilty about it. After all, he's probably got other things that need attention, besides myself. Still, it gives me a warm feeling inside. Langdon finishes off his drink and stands up. Do you feel able to go to sleep? He asks. I feel wide awake but give a small nod. The worst case, I'll just lie next to him until it's time to get back up. His eyes narrow on me and he looks suspicious. Oh. Maybe I wasn't convincing enough? He comes round to me and grabs my hand. His hands are nice and warm, although rough with calluses from all the training he does. He rubs my hand gently. His eyes search mine and then he bends his head down and gives me a kiss, soft, gentle, his lips soft against mine. Let's go to bed, he breathes, pulling back, and I willingly follow him as he tugs on my hand and leads me back to the bedroom. Langdon plumps mine up as I quickly go to the bathroom and I slowly climb onto the bed and snuggle down. Langdon climbs in beside me and pulls the bed covers over the both of us. His arm snakes out and pulls me against him, so that my back is resting against his chest. His other hand reaches over and to my shock, he begins to stroke my hair. It's soothing. His touch is gentle. The last time I was touched like this, had been my mother soothing me back to bed. Despite myself, my eyelids begin to flutter closed. It's so relaxing. Langdon smiles down at me. Sleep, he soothes. Sleep, Damian. I yawn and my eyelids close. He never stops stroking my hair. My body relaxes underneath the covers and I feel myself beginning to get sleepy. I can't even fight it and I don't want to. My body begins to drift off and the last thing I hear, or think I hear before I'm fully asleep, is Langdon's voice saying I love you. Winter POV. The pain in my head is excruciating. It's unlike any headache or migraine I've ever had before. It's so bad that I'm currently lying in bed with all of the blinds closed and curtains pulled, the darkness surrounding me so that my eyes don't hurt from the sunlight. It's like my head is pounding and I'm so incredibly thirsty. No matter how much water I drink though, it doesn't negate the thirst. I'm also incredibly hot, like I'm burning up. Maybe I've caught a virus or something, who knows? I thought shifters very rarely got sick. In fact, this is the first time I've really gotten sick like this ever. I don't want Kai to catch it, but he says he has a great immune system. In other words, he doubts he'll get it. I'm so lonely. Since I've gotten sick, I've been avoided like the plague. But it's much more than that. There's a voice inside of me and it's not Sabriel's. This is the secret I've been harboring for days, not telling anyone. Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what the voice constantly tells me to do. Sabriel's voice has gone completely silent. She's stopped speaking to me and I know it has something to do with the evilness inside of me. Kill them all, Winter. They are all betrayers, can't you see that? Your brother hurt you, you must hurt him back, show him what it feels like. Leave me alone, I don't know who you are, or what you are, but please, please just go away. Don't you understand yet? My voice is yours, child. The thoughts in your mind that you don't dare speak of, all the bad things you think about on a daily basis. I would never kill someone, that's a lie. Is it? Right now you're thinking about killing someone, aren't you? The one person who has hurt you the most? You want to hunt him down and kill him for everything he did to you and your brother. You crave his death. You want him dead. Why do you feel like that is so wrong? The voice falls silent as I give a small sob. They are not wrong. I do want my father dead. He ruined my life and Damian's. Why should he be allowed to continue to live and hurt us? But the rest of it frightens me. I would never wish my mate or my brother dead, no matter what they have done to me in the past. I wish I could talk to Sabriel. I give it one more try. Sabriel, do you hear me? I'm scared. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what's going on. Please speak to me, let me hear your voice. I'm begging you. I don't know what I'm going to do if I've lost you forever. I miss you so much. I'm literally begging to hear her voice. Part of me is fearful that I've lost my wolf forever. That Sabriel has vanished because I can no longer sense her at the moment. Which means I can't shift into my wolf form either. The only defense I have with my father coming. Without being able to shift, I'm vulnerable, weak, reliant on others to keep me safe. It stings and it sucks big time. Not to mention, I'm too afraid to tell Kai I've lost my wolf. Because I know he would panic, would want me to go to the hospital for all sorts of tests. He has enough stress at the moment without me adding to it. You have more strength at your fingertips than you think, Winter. You are not vulnerable, you are a hunter, a huntress, capable of so much more than what a pathetic shifter can do. I don't want to know. I just want you to stop talking in my head. I can't deal with this right now. I want Sabriel back. When the voice speaks again, it's harsh and brutal. Sabriel is gone, get that through your thick head. There's just me now and you're going to have to learn to get along with me or it's going to be a futile struggle between the both of us. You need to embrace your strength, your uniqueness, the fire within you. Even the parts you consider evil, are a part of you even if you try to ignore it. I am your only friend now. Deal with it, Winter. I just lie there, quietly sobbing. The voice is getting stronger, more insistent. It sounds like it's hissing constantly and it really doesn't like Kai or the others. In fact, it often comments that I should do things like push them down the stairs or poison them. The worst thing is, that the voice is so hard to ignore. Unlike with Sabriel, I can't cut it off or put a mind block up because it just breaks through. It taunts me, mocks me, and calls me names. But it sounds like me, and that's the part that's so frightening. Because what if the voice is me? A knock on the door breaks my thoughts. Winter, are you awake? Kai calls and I give a small grunt, watching as the door swings open, blinking furiously as light enters the room. He comes and perches on the bed. How are you feeling? He asks, concerned. He reaches out and touches my forehead. His hand jerks back in shock. You're burning up, he exclaims, crossing to the bathroom. I say nothing. I feel hot, but not too much. I've been hot the last few days. I hear the sound of running water. Kai comes back out. A nice cool bath should do the trick, he says quietly. It should help bring your temperature down at any rate. I burrow under the covers. I don't want a cold shower right now. I don't want to leave the bed. But Kai isn't taking no for an answer. He pulls the covers off as I let out a squeal, scooping me up in his hands and carrying me to the bathroom. He stands me up and strips off my clothing while I let out a small murmur of protest. Then he picks me up and places me gently in the water. I let out a small hiss. The water is cold, and it takes time for my body to adjust to it. When I do, I lean back in the bathtub, letting my body sink right down as the water washes over me. I start to feel cooler than I have in days. Kai sits on the floor next to the tub, not caring if he gets wet. His eyes are intently watching me. I feel self-conscious. How are you feeling otherwise? He asks. Like I want to rip your head from your body, you pathetic, dumb shifter. I have to ignore the voice, my heart thudding wildly in my chest. I need to make Kai believe that everything with me is all right. I'm okay, I murmur, just have a bit of a headache and a bit hot. Otherwise I'm all right, just tired, I try to assure him. He doesn't believe me for a second. Winter, you're not just a little bit hot, you're scalding to the touch, he says firmly. As for the headache, it's been how many days now? He prods. It's none of your business, you stupid mutt. A few days, I answer weakly, trying to concentrate on Kai and not the ugly voice in my mind. I'm worried about you. So is Damian and Langdon. I really think that you should visit the hospital and see a doctor. Don't let him force you. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We could hold his head under the water right now if we wanted to. I'll be fine. I just need to rest and recover, I tell Kai dully. I clench my hands into fists under the water. Kai doesn't look convinced, but I shoot him a pleading look and he sighs. Fine, but if this continues then I will insist on you seeing a doctor. Is that clear? He asks sternly. Crystal clear, I think miserably. Yes, I answer quickly. He clears his throat. Look, I came up here to share with you that there still has been no sightings yet of your father. What a shame. It means we have to wait some more before we kill him. Never mind, we can think of different ways to kill the man to pass the time. Patrol is still keeping a close eye. I hope that helps comfort you a little bit. Kai is continuing as I blink and refocus on him. I know it's not much of a comfort, but at least we know he's at least another few days away. That's good, I say automatically. The voice snickers in my mind. Would you feel safer with Damian and Langdon? Asks Kai suddenly. His house is further away from the pack house and is easier to defend. The question should be, will Damian and Langdon feel safe with you in Langdon's house? Should we tell him that? I would rather stay here in my bedroom, I say quickly. I feel safer with you, Kai, I add, lying through my teeth. Kai looks pleased with my answer. The poor really believes what I'm saying and a fresh wave of guilt floods over me. Of course you're safe with me, he answers. I just want to make sure you feel secure here. Well, I do, I answer quietly. The water is more than freezing now and I stand up, shivering slightly as Kai hands me a towel to wrap myself in. I do, my teeth chattering, and make a beeline back to the bedroom. I would get dressed, but prior experience has taught me that I'm about to go hot again, and quite frankly I can't be bothered putting clothes on. Not this time at least. Kai lets out the water from the bath and saunters in, looking worried. You look like you've lost weight, he comments, and I glance down at my body self-consciously. I hadn't realized, but now that he mentioned it, food had been the last thing on the agenda. How about I send something up, he offers, and I realize that he will just get more concerned if I refuse the offer. I would like that, I say calmly. He comes over and gives me a peck on the cheek. I have to go back and do some work, but I'll check on you later, all right? All right, I say automatically. I'll send that food up, he promises. I just nod. He vanishes out the door and I give a sigh of relief. The idea of food makes me nauseous, but it wouldn't hurt to at least try to eat something. Kai is as good as his word, and within minutes, there's a plate with a burger and fries, plus a Coca-Cola by my side as I eye it. The smell is amazing and my mouth waters. It looks delicious. Slowly, almost reverently, I pull the burger out of the bun and hold it between two fingers. I sniff. I'm almost drooling. I take a bite and almost moan with the sheer flavor of it hitting my taste buds. I devour the burger within moments, licking my lips when I'm done. The fries smell almost as good, but the second I put one in my mouth, I spit it back out in disgust. It tastes like charcoal. Yuck. I wipe my mouth with my hand and send the fries scattering to the floor. I sip the Coke and my stomach churns. It doesn't like it. I frown. It's Coca-Cola, for heaven's sake. Since when did I stop liking soft drink? It's perplexing. Reluctantly I place the drink back down on the bedside table. I guess I'm not drinking that either. But my body is craving something more enriched and flavorsome. I just wish I knew what it was. The one small hamburger wasn't enough to satisfy it. Then I glance over at the mirror above my dresser and freeze. Two glowing red eyes stare back at me. Kai POV. When I go to check on Winter later, she's fast asleep in the bed, snoring away lightly. I walk closer and frown. There are dried tears on her cheeks and puffiness around her eyes. She's definitely been crying. But why? Is she that fearful of her father? Or is it from not feeling well? I hesitantly touch the side of her face. Her fever seems to have vanished, or at least for now it's gone. It seems to have a habit of coming and going at the moment. Poor Winter. I sit on the bed and stare at my mate. She's had a lot going on at the moment and is under a lot of stress. Her memories are coming back now, in dribs and drabs thankfully, but I'm still not sure of how much exactly that she's remembered about our time together, and I can't bring myself to push. She stirs and mumbles in her sleep. It's adorable. Cute. God, she's beautiful. Storm wants her badly. He's disappointed when I tell him that we have to wait until Winter is better. He pouts in my mind and I'm forced to put a block up, so that I don't have to listen to his constant whining. As it is, I'm feeling like I need to leave, my hands craving to touch her all over. It would be rude to disturb her sleep for something so crass. But before I can stand upright, her hand snakes out and grabs hold of my arm, tightly. I'm surprised at her strength. She has a firm grip and it's almost painful. That's laughable, right? I'm a big bad alpha, she shouldn't be anywhere near as strong as me. Stay, she mumbles sleepily. I watch as her eyelids begin to flutter open, her eyes focusing on me. She gives me a tentative smile. Please don't leave, she begs. I won't, I tell her, wondering why she's so upset and distraught. Something's happened but I don't know what. She struggles to a sitting position, letting the blanket fall to her hips. Don't look, don't look, don't look, I chant to myself, feeling hysterical. Typically, my eyes shoot to her, my body and my eyes. She doesn't seem to notice, thank God, that I'm acting like a horny teenager. Winter, what's wrong? I ask and she bites her lip and looks away. Silence. I can hear the clock ticking in the room, it's that quiet. Nothing, she says finally, nothing's wrong. Right, and pigs can fly. She's lying. But I'm not going to pressure her for the truth, not yet anyway. Are you hungry? I ask instead. I can get you some food. She wrinkles her nose. She hasn't really had much of an appetite lately. No, thank you, she answers. I'm feeling helpless to do anything. Then she takes a deep breath and gets to her hands and knees, eyeing me suggestively. I think I'm hungry for something else, she purrs. I gulp. She stands up and moves so fast, she's almost a blur. I blink in astonishment. Man, can that girl move fast or what? She slowly, teasingly, slides my pants down as I stand there trembling, too afraid to move and spoil the moment. I like this side of Winter, the confidence and the teasing she exhibits. She slowly licks the tip as I close my eyes and groan out loud. You taste good, she breathes. Is she trying to get me to blow my load? God, the feeling is so intense, it's all I can do to hold onto my self-restraint and my self-control. Part of me is itching to get her onto that bed. She begins to bob her head up and down and I moan. Her throat is tight and the suction is unbelievable. Her hand begins to move back and forth and I'm a goner. I'm panting like crazy, barely keeping myself upright while Winter continues, a smile on her lips. She knows exactly what she's doing to me, the little minx. When I begin to feel the tingles of an approaching, I force her to her feet. She looks up at me with those big innocent eyes of hers, her eyes sparkling with joy. My turn, I growl, undressing her slowly, reverently, before placing her on the bed, lying spread-eagled, waiting for me. I crawl onto the bed and grab hold of her ankles, keeping them firmly apart. I bend my head and sniff her mound. My mouth waters. I want to taste her. Slowly, I grin. I love hearing her cry out in pleasure, and right now she's about to do a lot of it. Oh God, Kai, she's moaning over and over. I give a wicked grin. The girl has no idea what's going to happen next. You make it amazing, I tell her, and I mean it. Werewolves are creatures by nature, but it's always better with your mate and intended partner. She blushes. Would you stay with me a while? She asks quietly, even if it's until I go back to sleep again. I don't want to be alone right now, she finishes. Of course I can. I'm pretty tired after all that anyway, so why don't I catch a nap with you, I suggest. Her eyes shine at me. Yep, huge brownie points right there. Way to go, Kai. Yes, she whispers and turns her back to me, snuggling under the covers, looking over her shoulder. Will you hold me, Kai? She asks. I would hold her until the end of time. I climb in beside her and pull her against me. I can hear her heart beating, it's thudding loudly and rather quickly. Must have been what we just did. Winter, is there anything you want to tell me? I whisper. No, she murmurs, I just need you to hold me right now. Well, at least it was something. But in the back of my mind is a suspicion that Winter is hiding something, and it's something big. Why won't she talk to me? I'm her mate. I can be trusted. Whatever it is, I hope she spills her secret soon. Winter POV, he's close. The smell of his disgusting body odor combined with the blatant scent of cigarettes and alcohol is getting stronger, more pungent. My heart is racing in my chest. My hands are clenched into fists. I'm ready for this. Ready to face the monster who made my life a living hell and ruined my childhood forever. We will slaughter him and leave his entrails for the animals to consume. Drain him of his blood and tear his body apart from limb to limb. He will never mess with us again, and he will never hurt another human being ever again. He deserves to die. You know that too, Winter. He cannot be allowed to live. I'm also dangerously aware that Kai might have woken up by now or been found by Langdon and Damian. He's going to be incredibly pissed when he wakes up, I think to myself a little guiltily. But then, what had given him the right to think it was okay to lock myself up in the bedroom for my own safety? Did he think I was that fragile and that frightened? Was I really coming across that pathetic? God, if that's the case, then I need to show him just how capable and strong I am right now. He's an arrogant fool. You didn't need him to protect you like that. He tried to lock you up in a cage like an animal. The irony is that you are so much stronger than him, Winter. He's a fool if he hasn't realized that yet. I try hard to ignore the voice, but it's persistent. It puts thoughts and ideas in my head as I run, and eventually it becomes impossible to block it out. Or maybe I'm just tired of blocking it out. I run, my breath coming in short puffs, but I never get tired or out of breath. Which, considering the distance, is a small miracle in itself. My eyes are sharp, taking in every minute detail as I go past. I jump and it's a massive leap, taking me closer faster than running. But I don't mind taking it a little easy. After all, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do when I come across my father. But I can't prolong the meeting any longer. Because I sense him and his actual presence up ahead. I slow down to just a walk, my eyes scanning ahead as he walks into view. He looks just like I remember him, the same greasy dark hair tied in a ponytail, the small pot belly, the stained and dirty clothes, bare feet, and repugnant smells surrounding him. He hasn't changed one iota, not even after spending time in Jonathan's dungeon. It clearly made no difference at all. He stops when he sees me and I cringe at the wide smile that comes onto his face. I can tell he's drunk because he's weaving slightly as he walks, instead of walking in a straight line. God knows where he got the alcohol from. Probably stole it on his way here. Winter, he says cheerfully as I glare at him. It's been a long time. Not long enough, I think to myself grimly, feeling rage inside of me. What is it you want, father? I ask angrily. Why bother coming here? He pretends to look hurt, but I'm not fooled at all. Why, you're my family, Winter, you and Damian. I came to take you both back home, where you belong, he says, and then adds, I am your proper guardian after all. No, you want something else. What is it? I ask patiently. As if he wants us to be a family. What a pathetic liar he's attempting to be. His eyes narrow and then a calculating look appears on his face. I knew I was right and that he had an ulterior motive. Fine, I figure that you and your so-called mate, he's an alpha, isn't he? Would pay money to get me out of your lives. After all, I'm currently unemployed because of you and Damian. The least you could do is set me up. I'm sure your mate has plenty of money at hand. You want us to pay for you to go away, I say lightly, incredulous at his demands. Is he really this moronic and delusional? He shrugs. Why not? We both know you wouldn't want me anywhere near you after what I did to you, he says slyly. My voice rises. You tortured me, don't pretend like that was nothing. You tortured and abused me for years and now you want me to pay you money to go away. He laughs. I tortured you, because you reminded me of your mother. God, he exclaims. I can't stand it. I could never look past it. It's like she's there, constantly getting a dig in at me, reveling in my misery. I blink confused. From the way he's speaking, it almost sounds like he believes Mother is alive. But he'd told us she'd died in the rogue attack. I begin to feel suspicious. Mother didn't really die in the rogue attack, did she, father? You just told us that story to save face. His face contorts and he looks at me meanly. What would that information be worth to you, he taunts. Would it make you feel better, Winter? To know that she abandoned all of us in order to be with her precious lover of hers? That she never came back for you or Damian? I took care of you both, housed you, fed you, while she stayed away, enjoying herself and forgetting all about everyone she left behind. Your mother was nothing but in the end. She ran away from me and our life together, telling me she wasn't happy anymore. Ha! You don't do that to your mate. You don't just leave them. She had the nerve to reject me. I wish I had killed her. She deserved it. I feel numb. The way father spat out the words, his disgust evident in his voice, as well as the lingering hurt, all felt like he was telling the truth. Had my mother abandoned me and Damian without a care in the world? Perhaps she hadn't thought father was capable of laying a hand on us. Maybe she meant to come back and couldn't for some reason. It all whirled in my mind. The only thing that remained crystal clear was the fact that my mother was alive. All these years being punished for her death, and she was alive and safe out there somewhere. Tears come to my eyes. "You're not getting a goddamn dime out of me," I tell my father, my voice dripping with hatred. "Leave now before it's too late." Although I suspect it's already too late as my bloodlust becomes overwhelming. The voice in my head is getting louder and it's becoming harder to ignore it, particularly with the amount of rage I'm feeling inside of me. I want to tear my father apart. "I'm not leaving," he spits out. "In fact, why don't you make this easier on yourself and come to me, Winter? You've always been such a placid little thing." I move my head. I'm not placid anymore, but he doesn't appear to know it. In fact, as I eye him, I realize he doesn't see me as a threat at all. "Where is she?" I ask bluntly. "Something tells me you know where she is, father. Where did our mother go after she left? You're sorry." He glares. "I don't know where the she is. If I did, she would no longer be alive," he spat out. I believe him. He's that petty that he would have tracked her down. Hurt her, like the coward that he was. Kill him. He lied to you and Damian. He told you that your mother died in a rogue attack, when he knew she was alive after all these years. You could have looked for your mother years ago if it wasn't for him. Don't let him control you anymore. Get rid of him forever." My steps are slow but steady. A triumphant grin comes over his face as I walk towards him. I pretend to look meek and weak, the same old Winter that he was used to. I feel what feels like fangs come out of my mouth. His mouth drops open. He points at me. "Your eyes are red," he splutters, and then, before he can shift, or do anything, I feel my body move so fast it's a blur. I grip him around the throat, tight, preventing him from shifting, my eyes glaring into his. I'm enjoying his weakness, his struggling. He is so drunk he couldn't have shifted successfully anyway. How stupid could one man be? His hands clutch at mine, frantically trying to move them. I throw his body across the ground and watch it hit a tree. He gets to his feet, trying to shift, but after a few bones cracking, he goes back to human form. You would have thought he would make sure he was sober when coming to the pack, but nope, he'd had one too many drinks. I grab him and raise him up high, delighting in how strong I am, how feeble he is compared to me. I lick my lips, feeling hungry, hearing his heart race in his chest and his blood pump through his veins. "You," he wheezes, "monster." Maybe I am a monster. But he's not one to throw stones. Because he's the worst, abusive, monster I know. I slowly lower him down, so that he's facing me, and I stare at the nape of his neck. The fangs, or canines. Whatever they are, protrude out of my mouth, and instinctively I place them against my father's neck and then push down. Blood, so much blood to drink. It eases my thirst and soothes my sore throat. It feels deliciously warm, rich, potent. I hum in ecstasy as I continue to drain him, his body struggling to begin with, then going limp as I continue. Soon enough, the blood runs out and I give a small whine of disappointment. My father's body is limp and I drop him to the ground, staring down at his ashen face. I still have so much anger inside of me. So much rage. My nails turn sharp like claws. My hands thrust inside the body and I pull out his heart, smiling with glee as the blood stains my hands. I throw it across the forest and turn back to the body, this time pulling out his intestines and entrails. I sniff, sensing that someone is coming up behind me. My body tenses. Would this be yet another enemy to destroy? Or a friend? The scent is familiar but I'm in a haze, all I see is red, everywhere. I'm desiring nothing more than to keep killing, to find more blood to drink. Already I can tell there are wild animals nearby and I lick my lips, hungry again. Winter, sweetheart, look at me, I hear from behind me. I frown puzzled. I recognize the voice. I'm sure of it. Slowly the red begins to fade from my eyes. The anger begins to fade as well. Winter, look at me, continues Kai. I'm reluctant. Now that I've come back to myself, I shudder at the dead body laying at my feet. I feel sick to my stomach. I stumble backwards. What have I done? My God, what kind of monster am I? But then I remember everything and it takes all I have not to kick the dead body at my feet, feeling nothing but disgust at the man who dared to call himself my father. I'm not sorry he's dead. Winter Kai's voice is persisting and I slowly, quietly turn around, cringing at the horrified look on everyone's faces. Kai is the first to get over his initial shock. He blinks a few times, then slowly moves towards me. His eyes dart to my father's body but he says nothing. I look down and see blood trickling down my shirt. Kai, I say, my voice shaking, I don't know what to do. He gathers me into a hug. It's all right, sweetheart, we'll figure this out together. I shake my head. No, you don't get it. I know that Thomas turned me into a hybrid, I whisper, and Kai just holds me tighter. I've suspected that he might have done for a while, but it's only now that I am certain about it, Kai tells me. I shiver. I'm a monster, my voice cracks. I'm disgusting. No, you're not, Kai says gruffly, turning me away and walking back towards Langdon and Damian. I don't care if you're a hybrid, Winter, we'll work it out. I still love you no matter what. He says firmly, his eyes staring directly into mine. You are still the woman I fell in love with. I don't blame you for what happened here, although he says somewhat wryly, it might have been nice if you hadn't knocked me unconscious. Sorry, I whisper guiltily. I still love you, Winter, as well, chimes in Damian, patting me awkwardly on the shoulder. I as well, says Langdon gruffly. I say nothing as Kai steers me away towards the pack house grounds. But in my head, all I can remember is that my mother is out there, somewhere, still very much alive. How was I going to tell Damian? Or worst, should I even tell my brother that our mother abandoned us, even if it was to save her own life? Damian POV, what Winter did to our father will remain in my memories forever. But if I have to admit to anything, it's that she was determined enough to take him down all on her own. So what if she's half vampire? She's a badass as far as I'm concerned. The only thing bothering me now are the words she spoke once we got her back to the pack house. Our mother is still alive, Damian. I wanted to scream at her that she had it all wrong, that mother had to have died in that rogue attack. Because if she didn't, then where was she? How could she have abandoned her children as though they meant nothing to her? What mother would willingly leave her children behind? But there never had been a grave to visit, a place to grieve our mother. Our father was lying, that was the truth, and now I had to deal with the overwhelming guilt that Winter had been tortured for a reason that never existed in the first place. That is, if he spoke the truth. He could be trying to mess with our heads again, it wouldn't surprise me. I bet he never thought Winter would be capable of killing him. I think back to one of my favorite memories of her. It's nighttime. I was always one of those kids who could never fall straight asleep at night. Most parents would be furious, but my mother would just smile at me and motion me to follow her. My little legs would follow her outside and we would lie down in the grass, staring up at the sky with all the twinkling stars above us. Damian, look, she would say, pointing to a direct constellation and telling me what it was. That one's the Archer, she told me, her hair rippling in the wind. I would cuddle next to her, my head on her shoulder, snuggling in as she held me. She always smelled so sweet, like flowers, and her hair was soft and silky. She would kiss me on my forehead and hold me close. I was always so excited to spend this time with her. It was our little secret. Even my father didn't know that we went outside to spend time together. We would lie there until I started to get sleepy. As soon as I started to yawn, she would give a small peal of laughter and get to her feet, gently pulling me up as well. Sometimes I was so tired she would have to carry me, but she never once complained. She would tuck me into bed, pulling the covers over me. Go to sleep, my little cub, she would tease, kissing me softly on the forehead and then disappearing out of the room. I always felt bad that I woke her up, but she seemed to like our time together too, or at least I thought she did. As a little boy I had adored my mother and loved her beyond all reason. She was the one who hugged you and dried your tears. She made cookies when I was feeling sick, told me stories at bedtime. She always had a smile on her face and laughter on her lips. I remember the way she would hug me for no reason, other than she felt like I needed one. Winter and I had both loved her to bits. Our father had adored her as well, or at least that's what I remember. Is it possible my memories are wrong? I storm into Langdon's house, my anger rising as I think about my mother. Winter had to have misheard father when he told her she was still alive. Either that or he was messing with her. That would just be like him, to mess with our minds and break our hearts all over again. My hands clenched into fists. I wish I had gotten there sooner, to hear he tell it to me as well. I would have known immediately that he was lying. Winter was just too gullible for her own good, that was all. But I was lying, now to myself. Trying to make myself feel better, and it wasn't working. Hey, I hear a soft voice and turn to see a concerned-looking Langdon. I heard what Winter said. Are you all right? He asks. I don't know what to say. Am I all right? No, I'm no way near all right. I take a deep shuddering breath. I don't know. He reaches over to embrace me. I'm here for you, if you want to talk, or if you just want me to hold you. Just tell me what you need. I explode, jerking out of his grasp and punching the wall, leaving a huge dent behind. My hand stings, but I ignore the pain, enjoying the numbness coming over me. She can't be alive, I vent to Langdon, who's watching wide-eyed, his jaw clenched. Father is just doing what he does best, and with our minds, I shout, punching the wall again. There's no way that my mother would have just abandoned Winter and I almost scream, spittle flying everywhere. No mother leaves her children behind, do they? I ask him, turning to face him directly. I'm right, aren't I? No mother willingly leaves her children behind. I stifle a sob. Oh, Damian, Langdon breathes, coming closer and gripping my face between his two strong hands. Listen to me. You can't let this break you. Your father could be lying, we'll work it out. But don't break down now on me. You're stronger than this, he whispers. I lean into him, my whole body trembling, my head on his shoulder now as he hugs me tight. The silence is comforting. I hurt so much inside that it's like a pile of daggers being stabbed directly into my heart. Langdon takes my hand and grasps it, gently tugging me towards the stairs and up to the bedroom. I follow without resisting, lost in my thoughts and the bitterness consuming me. We make it to the bedroom and he begins to pull the covers down, when I stop him, grabbing hold of his arm with desperation. I kiss him, hard, rough, needing to feel his lips on mine. He responds, his hand gripping my hair, making me moan in delight. I need him, with a fierceness that frightens me. But Langdon seems to know it too. His tongue darts inside my mouth and begins to caress my own as I let out a moan. He tastes so good. My hands are gripping his shoulders, my body swaying gently as we kiss. His hands slowly slide underneath my shirt and I shudder at how warm they are against my skin. He gently squeezes me and then, breaking off the kiss, slides my shirt up and over my head, throwing it across the room and letting it fall to the ground. He begins to slowly move back and forth as my body tenses, the feeling of pleasure overwhelming me. Hold still, he growls, and I obey instantly, still whimpering as he begins to move even faster, taking all of me inside of him. My body is tense and I can feel my impending. Langdon, I whisper, trying to warn him, if you keep doing that I'm going to. I trail off helplessly as he gives me a grin and continues. I shudder and then give a shout, spilling my seed inside of his mouth. Langdon drinks it all up and then stands up while I stand there, trying not to fall down. Get on the bed, Langdon purrs. I climb on the bed and feel his arms adjusting me so that I'm lying on my side with my back to him. I glance over my shoulder and watch with anticipation. God, that man is delicious. He gives a chuckle, seeing my wide eyes and blatant staring. Like what you see, he growls. Oh yeah, I mutter with a smile. Just a moment, he says, sounding strangled. I smirk. I'm guessing he's dangerously close to his own peak at this rate. I needed that, I admit to him as he gives me a quick peck. I know, he answers. We both look at each other with a grin. But I also think we both might need to have a bit of a clean up, he says. I chuckle. We both strip the bed and then wander into the bathroom. Neither of us are shy with each other. He starts the shower. I groan out loud and let the water wash over me. Langdon hands me the washcloth. Thanks, I mutter. I begin to wash myself, fully aware that he's watching my every move. Damian, he says lowly, I know you're hurting right now and that's okay. But would it maybe help if you told me a little bit about your mother and what she was like? I close my eyes under the water. My mother was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, I begin, getting lost in my memories. Winter POV, the dungeon is cold and dismal. But I don't dare complain. I had insisted they put me down here in the first place, for everyone's safety, even when they had tried to protest against it. But my actions seem futile, stupid. I should never have bothered. Because if I wanted to, I could easily get myself out of here. There's the smell of old blood in the air. And it's disgusting, my nose wrinkling in disgust. I huddle underneath the blanket Kai gave me, shivering profusely and wondering at my actions. Will this really keep all of them safe? I doubt it. I can't get the image of my father out of my mind. What I did to him. The pervasive pleasure I took in pulling out his entrails from his lifeless body, the screams that echoed through the forest. It was like another person had taken over, a different Winter, one who was evil and enjoyed every bit of harm she did to him. Who, even now, wished he'd put up more of a fight so that she could have hurt him even more than she had. I feel numb, it's hard to explain. I should have felt happy, satisfied, joyful that my father was dead. After all, I certainly enjoyed killing him. But the happiness and satisfaction have worn off. Now I'm just glad that he won't ever touch or hurt me again, let alone Damian. He was a horrible person, the pack would be much better off without that drunken alcoholic loser member. I won't ever have to look over my shoulder again and wonder when the next hit is coming. Or feel his flesh as it smacks into mine, or feel his breath as he whispers things into my ear. He is gone and part of me is guilty that I feel nothing over it, no sadness or guilt. We need to get out of here. Why do you keep us locked up, Winter? Why do you not embrace the power that you possess? You hunted down your father and he'll no longer hurt you ever again. Did you not enjoy it, Winter? Hearing his screams and pleas for mercy. Forcing him to die as a pathetic human instead of a shifter? That man will never lay a hand on us ever again. Why won't you convince Kai to let us out of this pathetic prison? It won't be long now until we need to drink again and sate our thirst. The voice is persistent, ever present in my mind, even as I try desperately to tune it out. It's loud though. More of a constant hiss than anything. A lot different to Sabriel. God, I miss her. I would give anything to hear a bad or lame joke from my wolf right now. She would make me laugh without even trying. God, she was a sassy wolf. Not ito mention pretty. I'm sure she would have a solution to this problem. One that didn't involve a dungeon cell. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Kai walks down slowly, holding a food tray. He manages to open the cell door and place the food down on the floor without spilling a single drop. Reluctantly he closes the door again. I eye the food with interest. There's juice, a muffin, bagel, and some fruit. I reach for the juice first, but the second the liquid hits my throat, I begin to gag and convulse, throwing up the contents. I wipe my mouth feeling miserable and slowly reach for the muffin. It tastes like dust in my mouth, I cough it up and the food goes flying across the room. I look at Kai who is staring at me grimly. I think we need to face the facts, Winter. You don't need food or drink, you need blood, he breathes. I shake my head. I refuse to believe that. I don't want to face the facts, I want to shy away from them for as long as possible. We drained your father's blood, remember? It will only keep you going for a small amount of time until you need more. You will need more, I'm warning you. So I would start accepting that we are a vampire and get over it already. Unless you want to slowly starve yourself to death, which is a painful way to die. Be free, Winter. Save yourself. I can't drink blood. I tell Kai miserably I won't do it. There must be something else we can do, I say desperately, but he looks completely stymied. What if you just drank a little, he suggests quietly, a determined look on his face as he holds out his wrist. Surely he must be joking? Something comes over me and I stare at the veins, licking my lips. I can hear the steady sound of his heartbeat and the sound of blood rushing through his veins. I begin to feel thirsty as I stare at it. Kai moves it closer to me. Kai, no, don't, I say weakly, but he doesn't listen and shoves his wrist and hand through the bars of the cell as I look at him completely horrified. Does he have any idea what he's doing to me right now? Doesn't his heartbeat sound so nice and the blood pulsating through his body? We don't have to take all of his blood, we can take just a little. Enough to keep us going and get rid of this hunger and thirst. It's better than killing someone for their blood, isn't it? This voice that won't shut up. But it's beginning to make sense. God, I feel disgusted in myself. Kai is holding steady, his eyes staring directly at me. Winter, drink, he says with a low growl. I want to see if you can restrain yourself from taking too much. I want you to do this for me. I sidle closer. I feel my canines, I hate calling them fangs, so canines it is for now, slowly protrude out of my mouth. Kai's eyes widen but he doesn't move. I grab hold of his wrist tightly, making Kai wince in pain from the strength of my grip, and bring his wrist to my mouth. Slowly, gently, I pierce the skin of his wrist and blood rushes into my mouth. It's sweet, flavorful, and I moan out loud as I begin to suck, letting it trail down my throat. It's refreshing and I drink, until I see Kai's hand trembling. Feeling repulsed, I immediately drop his hand and move back away, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand. I no longer feel thirsty or hungry. Instead I feel amazing, refreshed, like I could run 10 marathons and never get tired. All my cuts and scrapes are miraculously healed and I find myself almost jogging in place. Kai licks across his wound and I feel overwhelming guilt. I'm so sorry, I begin to apologize, but he holds up his hand, stopping me. I told you to do it, he interrupts, and I would do it all over again. You can't see yourself right now, but you're practically glowing and you look much healthier. He sounds amazed. Like it's a massive transformation that's occurred right in front of his eyes. See how good we feel with fresh blood in our system? Don't you want to feel like this all the time? Be this strong all the time? I guess the vampire side of me is stronger than the shifter side, I mutter without thinking, still disgusted in myself. Maybe, but you held back from taking too much. Now will you stop being so foolish and come out of there? He asks, looking exasperated. I trust you, Winter, not to kill me if that helps, he says, trying to lighten the mood. I can't help but laugh at that. But I'm still a little hesitant. Kai gives me puppy dog eyes. Look, vampire chick or not, I still love you as my mate, this doesn't change that. I will stay by your side no matter what, he promises. I sigh and step back. Fine, will you let me out please, I say lightly, and he grins, opening the doors to the cell at once. I walk out slowly. It's like my eyesight has become sharper, even sharper than a shifter's, as I take everything in. He grips my hand and gently gives it a squeeze. We walk upstairs together. I spot Damian on the grounds with Langdon, training. He looks ferocious and I'm impressed at how well he's doing against his opponent, as I slow down to watch. Kai follows my gaze. I'm impressed that you can see the training, he comments, because while I can see it, I can't make out who is actually doing the fighting. Langdon and Damian, I tell him with a smile, and Damian is kicking. He's gotten really good, Kai comments with a grin. Langdon has really been training him hard. Are you sure that I should be back up here in the house? I ask nervously. I still think the dungeon is safer for all of you. Let me decide what's safe for me. None of us wanted you to lock yourself up in the first place, Kai said sternly. That was all you. I'm willing to bet you're exhausted after spending a night in there. I shake my head. Not really. I feel like I could go and run for hours. Well, I'm hungry, Kai comments with a sidelong glance at me. How about we go sit in the dining room, he suggests. I'm more than up for that, sitting at the table while he grabs himself some sandwiches to eat. I swear the man can eat his body weight in food and still want more. He munches on the food while I relax against the chair. I don't know how to feel. I should feel repulsed at being part vampire, but part of me is slowly embracing it. I can't change what's happened to me, although if Thomas wasn't already dead, I'd be killing him with my bare hands right now. Kai, what if we can't find a way to turn me back? I ask hesitantly. He swallows hard. I have an idea about that. The Werewolf King's wife is a witch. I thought we could maybe ask her for help. She might know a spell or ritual that would take away the vampire part of you so you would no longer be a hybrid. I don't know how to feel about that, but I do feel a tiny bit of excitement at the thought that something could be done. When can we do it? I ask hurriedly. Kai shakes his head. The Werewolf King is currently on the other side of the world, visiting Pax. We can contact him once he's back on our side of the world. Oh, I say quietly, feeling a little deflated. I guess I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up so quickly. Silly Winter, I chide myself. At least Kai has come up with some sort of plan. It was better than nothing. It was a possibility, and that was something to cling onto. I twirl my hair with my finger, looking off into the distance. You will not be able to get rid of me. I will never let you go. Foolish girl. Do you really think she is able to help you? You are stuck being a hybrid whether you like it or not. It is time you accepted it. Your brother is a little upset at the moment, but once he's calmed down, I'm sure he'll want to see you, Kai suggests. He's upset about what I told him about our mother, isn't he? I ask lowly. Kai gives a small nod. How does he think I feel? I snarl, scratching the tabletop, finding out after all this time Mother was alive, and Father was lying while torturing me. Does he think I found it easy to listen to it? Or does he think I'm lying? I hiss. Calm down, Winter. I think he's finding it hard to come to terms with the possibility that your mother is alive, Kai says delicately. I just grunt at him, feeling disgruntled. Stupid Damian. My hand goes up to my neck subconsciously, tracing where the mark from Kai used to be until Thomas managed to remove it. I feel sad at the loss of it. Wait a minute, my eyes widen in disbelief. Is the reason that I can't hear Sabriel anymore, because I lost my mark? My mind begins to race, a mile a minute. If that's the case, then would having Kai mark me bring her back? My mind begins to go into overdrive. I feel a spark of joy at my idea. I jump up and grab Kai by the hand, insistently tugging at him, almost dragging him up the stairs as he tries to keep up with the pace I'm setting. "Slow down," he exclaims, panting. We make it to the bedroom and I sit on the bed and regard him eagerly. He raises his eyebrows at the look on my face, clearly wondering what it is I'm thinking. I can't help but give him a goofy smile. God, let this work, I pray to myself, please let it work. I clear my throat. Kai, will you mark me again? This time I'm asking you to and consenting to it, I point out and watch his expression turn grim. Kai POV. I stare at Winter, unsure if I've heard her correctly. She's twisting her hands together, biting her lip, looking at me shyly, waiting for some sort of reaction from me. I can't help but remember the first time that I marked her without her consent and flush. This time she's asking me for it, but what if it does something to her? What if it causes her pain now that she's a hybrid? Is Winter really willing to risk it in order to have her wolf back again? I have to make sure. I can't just go into this blindly. But I do feel excitement stirring in my chest at the idea of having my mark and claim back on her neck again, where it rightfully belongs. You want me to mark you? I ask, repeating her words slowly and watching her reaction. She gives a nod. Please, it might bring Sabriel back, she whispers, and maybe it will make the vampire side less, oh I don't know, she says, desperately aggressive. Besides, I miss not being able to mind link with you, she points out. Her voice is shaky now, her eyes pleading with mine. I still feel hesitant, even as my feet move closer towards her of their own accord. We don't know what marking you will do though, I say softly. Are you willing to suffer whatever consequences there might be doing this? God, help me, I'm really considering doing this. All we can do is pray that nothing serious happens as a result. Besides, she's asking me, desperate to have Sabriel back, and I can't blame her. I wouldn't know how to cope without Storm, my own wolf. I'll pay whatever price, she assures me, her eyes beseeching. I just want to be marked again. Claimed as yours, she adds softly, longingly. My breath hitches in my throat. I think we should do it, man. It's been bothering me that she doesn't have our mark on her neck. How are other wolves going to know she's ours? Storm, she's going through a lot right now, and you want to tell me her not having our mark is bothering you? She said she's willing to suffer the consequences. Kai, I think we should do it. At least this time, the marking will be on her terms instead of ours. I'm worried it will do something or cause some sort of reaction. We could end up hurting her, Storm. Then what? We won't know unless we do it. I think it's worth the risk. Besides, can you really resist the fact that our mate is begging us to claim her as ours again? She's our mate. Our mark belongs on her neck to show we are her mate. You, Storm. Why do you have to be so argumentative? The wolf for being so persistent. I slowly tug Winter up by the arm as she obediently stands, inhaling her scent and crinkling my nose. Her scent has been a little different since she changed, but it's still intoxicating to me. I bury my head in her hair. I hope you're right about this, I murmur as she trembles beneath me, because once I've done this, there's no taking it back, I growl, my voice loaded with meaning. She shudders. I know, she stammers, please Kai. I want this, she whispers, and I swallow hard. How can I resist her plea? I move her head to the side, exposing her creamy skin and the nape of her neck, where my mark used to be. I frown down at it. Storm's prancing around in my mind, encouraging me, and I'm forced to block him. Slowly my canines withdraw. Get ready, I whisper, and Winter stiffens. My head lowers down and slowly, I pierce her skin and bite down as she gives a jolt. I revel in the taste of her as I withdraw and lick the wound closed, my eyes gleaming with satisfaction that it's worked and that the mark is once again there for everyone to see. Then Winter gives out a long, horrific scream, her legs buckling beneath her. I sweep her up and place her on the bed. Her face is flushed all over and she bucks and writhes on the bed, screaming her lungs out as I look at her helplessly. I have no idea what's going on. But I had dreaded something like this happening. I should have listened to my instincts. Hurts, she whimpers. What hurts, I say anxiously, kneeling beside the bed, desperate to do something to help her. What hurts, sweetheart? All over, she pants. Feels like I'm burning from the inside. I rush to the bathroom and fetch a washcloth, soaking it in cool water and rushing back, patting her down with it. But the second it touches her, she screams even louder. I drop the washcloth. It's not going to help. Not when she's in this kind of state. Screw this. I mind link a doctor to come straight from the hospital. I'd take her there, but I don't want to cause her any more pain than she's already in. Several minutes later and I'm hovering near the doorway while the doctor checks on an almost unconscious Winter. I can't tell you what's wrong, the doctor tells me, puzzled. If I have to hazard a guess though, it's either a result of her wolf trying to claw its way back to the surface or both sides fighting for dominance. Will the pain stop? I ask quietly, Winter lying there, panting, sweat dripping down her face. Her whole face is contorted in pain. The doctor shakes her head. I can't even say if the painkillers I've given her will help. She doesn't appear to be responding to them, but she's also not screaming as much. I wish I could tell you more, Alpha Chi, but this is something that's just way out of my knowledge and experience. Hybrids are so rare, that we haven't really had a chance to study them. I apologize for not being able to help you as much as I would have preferred. I don't blame the doctor. Will this stop? I ask, pointing to Winter. Will it stop if one side becomes more dominant over the other? She looks upset. I hope so, but there's also every chance that this will also cause her to die, if it drags on too much. Her heart could give out from the shock. I swear and rub my eyes. I shouldn't have marked Winter, I should have known something like this would happen. I feel like I'm slowly dying alongside her. If she dies, I won't be able to control myself. I feel helpless, a rush of guilt washing over me. God! If you should need anything else, don't hesitate to mind link me again, the doctor says, and I usher her out, thanking her silently. Langdon and Damian come rushing up. What's going on? Damian blurts out, paling as he sees the condition of his sister. I marked her was all I said, pointing to her, and this happened. Now we could all sit here and lay the blame on me, or we can do what we can to make her comfortable. Damian glowers at me and pulls a chair up beside Winter, clutching hold of her hand. Langdon sits silently in the background, occasionally glancing at her, but giving myself and his mate privacy to be with the one we love. Mother, she cries out, and my heart skips a beat. Damian looks at me pained. Why, she sobs, why did you leave us? Damian just clutches her hand even tighter. Winter, he says quietly, Winter, I'm here for you, he promises. Her eyes are closed completely now and she's almost lifeless on the bed. I suck in a breath. She's so pale, all over. Her skin is almost translucent. While she's not exactly writhing with pain anymore, she's barely moving and her whole body is heating up. My mark is clearly visible on her skin and I swallow, glaring at it. This could have been avoided if I had just told her no and waited to find out what would happen. This is all my fault. Damian, she moans and he leans over her, looking anxious. Damian, why do you hurt me? She whispers and he flinches. I think it's the fever, it's making her delusional, I tell him gently. He just nods, focusing his attention on her while I sit on the other side, smoothing her hair from her face. Christ, she's burning hot. I don't dare get the washcloth after what happened last time. Father, don't, she shrieks and Damian jolts. He swallows hard and re-grabs her hand. Father's not here anymore, he tells her thickly. Father can't hurt you anymore. She stiffens and then her body relaxes again. Damian's voice must be getting through to her then. God, this is so painful to watch. I'm on edge and so is Damian, both of us unable to relax even slightly while Winter's in such pain. I glance out the window. It's nightfall. The moon is glowing brightly in the sky. It's a full moon tonight, a night when shifters are stronger than usual. Do you think maybe we should put her in the bath or something? Damian says a little desperately. I look at him. When I tried to wipe her over with a washcloth, she screamed murder. Otherwise I would have done that already. He deflates. She's just so hot, he comments. Suddenly she sits upright. I won't let you win, she screams out loud. I won't. She falls back down. Damian looks worried. This can't be good for her body to handle. It's not, I tell him glumly. I feel helpless and it's feeling to have. My hands clench into fists. God, if there was just something I could do, rather than sit here and watch my mate go through whatever it is she's going through. Thomas, I think to myself miserably. He's the reason she's a hybrid. If I'd known what he'd done to her, I would have killed him far more slowly and tortured him as well. He'd gotten off lightly and it stung. Poor Winter was suffering because of he and his sick obsession to have her. Who knows what else he might have done to her if we hadn't gotten there. I just wish now it was sooner. Maybe then we could have prevented this from ever happening. There's a cracking sound and Winter screams, Damian and I jumping back as we see that her leg has changed to a wolf one. But it stays like that. Another crack, her arm changing to wolf form. She's still got her eyes closed and I'm wondering if she's even aware of what is going on. She's sobbing quietly now and my heart is breaking. Transforming shouldn't be painful, but this is her first shift after becoming a hybrid and it's not normal the way she's shifting. It's way too slow. Arg, screams Winter as her other leg becomes a wolf one, breaking and adjusting. Her body begins to buck and writhe as slowly her remaining limbs and body begins to break and shift into her wolf form. I blink as finally, after several long minutes of pain screaming, a wolf remains on the bed, her eyes closed, curled up in a fetal position. I tentatively touch Winter's wolf. It's hot to the touch as well. Her eyes don't even open. I glance over at Damian. Got any ideas? I ask Riley. He shakes his head and sits back down, looking at the wolf appreciatively. I admire her as well. When Winter first got here she was a runt, a tiny little thing. But her wolf has slowly been growing and now it's almost as big as mine. Such a lovely thing to look at. Now I have to wonder though, if Winter is going to be able to shift back to human? She slumbers. Slowly, Damian, Langdon and myself begin to fall asleep, my head resting on the bed from my sitting position. I can feel her soft fur beneath me. I don't know how long I've been asleep for, but my whole body springs back when I hear the sound of shifting. Damian lifts his bleary eyes and pushes his chair back as Winter's body begins to turn back to her normal human form. I touch her. Her body is now cool to the touch. Her fever has broken. Damian begins to blush as he realizes she's looking away in discomfort. Langdon merely stretches from his position on the floor where he's spent most of the night observing. Winter's eyes open and she sits up, stretching out her arms, a small smile on her face. She stands up, walking experimentally, holding out her arms and watching them with wide eyes. Kai, she breathes. I can hear her again. Sab reels back inside my mind and I can shift back to a wolf again. I can control my vampire side too. She almost squeals happily, rushing over to me and giving me a massive hug. I thought you were going to die, I said miserably, and she cuddled me harder. Sorry, she whispered, but don't you see? Now I have both sides of me. The shifter side and the vampire side. I can be a wolf again and go for runs. I needed this, Kai. I'm sorry if I scared you though. Her voice is apologetic. I almost laugh. She shouldn't be apologizing to me, if anything I should be apologizing to her. Silly girl. She'd done more than frighten me, but I can't blame her for wanting her wolf back. One thing floats in my mind though. If she's strong as a vampire, will her wolf be stronger than an alpha's now as well? Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.